Hi, everybody. My name is Carlos M. Spivey, and today we're going to be discussing regulatory bodies, master planning, and legislation. That covers my exhibit on the American Kestrel. So, regarding regulatory bodies, we're going to get into the size, safety, and welfare of the animal. The USDA, under the Animal Welfare Act and animal regulations, the USDA requires all facilities housing animals and avian species to have in place an effective plan to eradicate and ensure a buffer surrounding disease hazards and avian pests, specifically in animal holding facilities. This ensures that the facilities are housing healthy and comfortable animals within the enclosures. The same act also covers shelter from extreme sunlight, rain, and snow and cold temperatures, which I made sure to incorporate into the design of my facility through the use of the cave system, the natural trees that they can nest in and survive in there. They also have plenty of space as per the PA Game Commission. They have to have a safe space for the falcons to hunt and actively participate in natural behaviors. So that's the field element of my exhibit. Raw materials like leather are required in order to make hoods and other equipment. Perches, scales, bells, and other enrichment items must be purchased or made according to the state of Pennsylvania. So this will be incorporated into the enrichment barn, as I called it, and that's a little hut that's incorporated into the enclosure itself. So when it talks about legislation, in accordance with the USDA, there will be ample space for the kestrel to fly and hunt. Enrichment items like the perches and bells and other fun items will be housed within the enrichment station in the enclosure, and that will allow the birds to express natural behaviors. The exhibit is free flight, meaning that the birds have total freedom within the confines of the structure. Safety netting will be utilized to keep guests separate and safe within the walkthrough. Natural environments like the in-exhibit stream and cave system, as discussed, will provide an opportunity for the kestrel to hunt and fly at their own leisure. Veterinary staff will be given their own workstation on the outside and along the back end of the entire enclosure, and this will provide ample space for the staff to work on procedures and practices that allow for the prevention of these pests and diseases that we discussed. This space will also serve as a quarantine station from the rest of the enclosure should any influenza or any other ailments take place within. Maintenance and husbandry is a large part of falconry, and the PA Game Commission insists that falcons are provided with proper hoods, toys, and leather working when handled. So this will ensure proper handling and care as per the Game Commission. The master plan that's utilized in designing this exhibit is based on the Smithsonian's National Zoo Strategic Plan and focuses on four major elements: animals, education and learning, guest experience, and science. So the kestrels being housed in the aviary will be allowed to fly around and nest as they see fit within an environment specific to their natural habitat. The exhibit will feature informative signage throughout. And I know that's not super effective, but it is going to help our guests get to learn. Hunting tactics, mating rituals, migratory patterns, and the diet will all be covered. There'll also be a handler with a microphone discussing the bird's natural habitats and activities as the guests walk throughout the exhibit. We want this to be a naturalistic and fully immersive experience for our guests, allowing them to see exactly what it's like to see the kestrel out in the real world. By including a handler that interacts with the kestrels and our guests, we'll be discussing a lot of different natural behaviors, which ties into the science. Guests will also be able to view the veterinary ward and the husbandry food prep areas to learn more about the day-to-day handling and what kind of science actually goes into the daily management of this exhibit. Beyond our impact areas, which we consider our primary goals, this plan features 6 critical functions that help us implement our action plan. External outreach, which will allow us to get more people involved and informed about the conservation and protection efforts surrounding the kestrel. Organizational culture, this will allow us to partner with outside organizations and effectively communicate with guests on how they can do their part. Public programs and spaces. Public programs will provide free and educational experiences for guests and anyone willing to learn about our goals and efforts. Resources, revenue generation is a big one here. This allows us to run things like our gift shop, donation station, and other elements that will keep the flow of money steady and rolling, even when we are being fully free and to the public, which that can be done through public programs. Safety and security will have double doors where one must be closed before the exit or entrance door is opened, as well as protective netting that'll go along the walkway as to not harm the birds and to keep them separate from our guests. So that keeps guests and the birds separate. And then buildings and developments like the enrichment barn and the cave that'll be featured, both will provide enrichment opportunities for the birds.